Good evening and welcome to this edition of Porter Cascade Law Enforcement meeting. It is September 16th, 2025. A little about 12 after 6. We will start with I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lorraine,
Here.
Commissioner Coots,
Here.
Commissioner Nance,
Here.
Commissioner Dan,
Here.
and Commissioner Todd.
Here.
Todd, excuse me. Thank you.
All right. Modifications, additions, and changes to the agenda. Okay. All righty, perfect. Consent agenda, approval of minutes for August 19th, 2025, regular session, ratification of bills in the amount of $66,081.38. Approval of payroll for August 19th, 2025 in the amount of $46,805.20. And for September 4th, 2025, in the amount of $41,112.88.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda in its entirety.
Okay, motion to approve the consent agenda in its entirety. All those in favor?
I
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Public comments. Anybody out there in TV land that would like to comment? Now is the time. Hearing none, special presentations and reports from outside resources staff and government officials. Annual review of audit FY 2021-2022. Matt Haskins, ready to go.
No, this is everyone's favorite time of year.
Yes, I'm waiting on pins and needles.
Pins and
For
needles.
the yearly audit report.
Okay. Well, the first thing that I want to do is go over the letter from the auditor. It should be in your packet. Looks like page 8 is where it starts. Quickly going through it, this is a requirement that they have to send to the governing body. This is what they do, is they just let you know, hey, we've done what we're supposed to do. Here's some comments and some things that you should be aware of. The planning and scope and timing of the audit, audit results. Goes in their audit results that they had an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion you can give with an audit. And so it's good that we've kind of cleaned up some things and got to a point where there is no issues. So, so there's nothing no exceptions on the minimum standards with the exception of one budget violation. There was any further expenditures of funds. Remember, this is the audit for fiscal year ending June 30, 2022. And so there were some things there that went over budget. If there's any difficulties working with the auditors, no material corrections in the statements, no disagreements, no audit findings this year. There are some new pronouncements that are coming out that they put in this letter as well to make sure you guys are aware. If you have any specific questions, happy to go over any of those with you. But that's something we're gonna spend time on. They did mention a couple of best practice things, the fidelity insurance coverage. They talk about how the balances in the cash accounts are over the FDIC limits, but the court also uses the Oregon qualified depositories. And so the state has a program that helps collateralize those funds in those bank accounts anyways. Additionally, QuickBooks accounting software. We've already made the transition from QuickBooks to QuickBooks Online, which provides kind of the audit history that they were looking for and said that wasn't possible in QuickBooks. If you delete something, you weren't aware of it. We've already corrected that. Segregation of duties. port's small, sometimes people are out of town, so people end up doing multiple jobs to make sure things get done. So I think the port's aware of that, we kind of do what we can to make sure that controls are in place to make sure things are done correctly. And then during payroll testing, there wasn't any signed agreements for like rate increases, things like that, which I think Jeremiah changed this last year as well. So those are the big things from their letter. I'll jump into the financials, so it's kind of scrolling down through some additional pages. And we'll go over the audit report because we already talked about it. There was a modified opinion, which is the best opinion. Go through the MD&A, which is the management discussion and analysis. And this is probably one of the easiest places to look at the financials because it gives like a high level review of them. So on page 24 of your packet, it kind of gives a high level overview of the statement of net position. So it goes over assets, deferred outflows of resources, liabilities, deferred inflows of resources, and then net position. And you can see net position is kind of how the overall organization is doing. So in 21, the net position was 4.9 million, and it went up to 5.6 million. And so the trajectory is headed in the right way. Then you can see a comparison of the statement of activities on the next page where it kind of goes through operating revenue and operating expenses, and it shows you what 21 to 22. Kind of for that comparison. And then, sorry, scrolling quite a ways. One of the new things that is part of the audit this year is they changed the pronouncement on lease activity. So you'll see that there's now an asset release receivables. And then there's also an offset that pretty much matches that in your deferred inflows of resources. So they have you recognize kind of everything that's gonna happen that you have an agreement for, but then they also have you recognize the thing that says it hasn't happened yet. One of these things that, in my personal opinion, is busy work for organizations. And then the last couple things, there was a prior period adjustment, but that was just to record something that's called other post-employment benefits. The court is required to offer the same health insurance that they have to people that retire before they hit the age that they can get Medicare. So there's a small calculation that's done that shows what that is. Do you guys have any questions?
Not yet.
It sounds like the four I think that they identified were already taken care of.
Yeah, and some of those are best practices, and so they're going, I can guarantee you they've had that first one on there every year for quite a while. You guys, without being on QuickBooks Online, didn't have access to that. So some of those I think will come off in the next year. Some of those are just things that they want to always make sure that you're aware of. Hey, you're a small organization, segregation of duties is a thing that's hard to do. You're likely not doing it all the time. Ultimately, they want to make sure you're aware of that. So.
Okay. So moving forward, we're in a good place.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were as of 21-22.
At this point, it's kind of a moot point because it is what it was.
It is what it was. So really, we've gone through that. We've worked on the next one. We're waiting for them to get back to us so we can move forward. So.
Okay. And the next one will reflect the new sheriff and everything, all the new management. And
Yeah.
Okay, what did you try?
2022 to 23, I don't think until 23 to 24.
So I think it happened at the very end of 23 or was
So
it?
we
Yeah.
had one before.
I don't have it. There's a date in there somewhere.
Someone.
Before it's us.
Yeah, all right.
Well, us, but Jeremiah would be reflected as.
There's an interim in there somewhere and then, yes, but yes.
Was an aha moment in there somewhere. We should fix this. Okay.
But Matt was also there too, so.
Okay.
So I guess in your particular opinion, is there anything that you should specifically keep an eye out for from this moving into the future?
I mean, like I said, your net position is moving up, which means the overall position of the board is increasing into a better place than where it could be. You will see over the next couple of years that some of that goes away by having increased debt and some things like that, but I mean. Remember, in looking at financial statements, this is telling you what's happened in the past.
Right.
And so. In looking at this, it's also very important to use your budget to be like, okay, well, what is our plan going forward in the future? And so as you do that, it's kind of a combination of, okay, here's the past, here's where we're going.
What did we learn from this kind of thing?
What have we learned? And really, we're working on getting things caught up to the point where we can give you more accurate, timely information. Because 2022 is not helping you make any decisions today, right? So we're working on that and should have that to you shortly.
When you say shortly, is it like next month or is it a few months from now?
I think what we kind of discussed today is we'll probably do it at the second meeting after the quarter end. And so it'll be quarterly and you'll get it not the next month, but the month after because of the time to make sure the books are all closed and everything's ready for you. So November.
Excellent.
You guys also received in your email, we give them a reminder on that.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
So the auditor for the subsequent audits, you guys are gonna get some questionnaires from the auditors. If you're like, I wasn't here, I don't know anything, please return it to the auditor and tell them that, like, I was here, I'm not aware of anything that went on. Because they're gonna wait and not proceed with the audit until they get those back. And so.
Is that the questionnaire that we already received a couple weeks ago, or is that
Yes.
another one?
Yes,
That's
the one you
that
got a
one.
couple weeks ago.
You'll receive another one for 24,
Okay.
you'll receive another one for 25.
Okay.
It's like every year they're gonna send out another one.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
All right, discussion items. Comprehensive land use and resource investment plan, Matt Craigie's.
Great. Here for the next map here.
One.
Yeah, and if you're following along paper copy, we bumped up to page 80.
So really happy to introduce you to Matt Craig from Northwest and just completed the order of a little bit of a background on the project that he is leading. In April of this year, we received a grant from Business Oregon Support Planning and Marketing Fund to fund the development of comprehensive land use and real estate development plan. This is an effort that follows on the strategic business plan effort. And it's really geared to develop for us a roadmap over the next 5 years on our real estate investments and land use. Now with the RV park campground project already sort of being the rabbit ahead of the turtle on all of those decisions, there is a second consulting group that is working on a deep dive on that project, and Jeremiah is going to talk about that after this. But this comprehensive plan is really just that, comprehensive. So it's talking about and looking at all of the port's current real estate holdings and some potential purchases that have been identified by staff. Matt is here to talk with you guys and lead you through some of those initial questions that we need commission feedback on to move forward with that effort. So I'm going to share his slides. If you're looking at the, Fillmore Stadium version, it's not going to be so readable, but your packets have those slides. He may have made some edits over the weekend, so it might be a little bit different, and I'll show them on the screen for the attendees. Just figure out how to do that.
See you, Matt.
Yes.
Thanks, Matt.
Does he need his HDMI back?
Oh,
Maybe.
we use it? I don't know if we used it. I think we didn't use it.
It's like the one was saying. That one's the cities.
Did you get back your HDMI cord?
Sorry. Got it, mouse.
Are you using it?
No, I don't think we are.
Yeah, we're not using it, so get back. Thanks, Bart. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Okay,
Catch, Commissioner.
and then.
One of those things put on our release.
Yeah.
Right. The
um,
Marine and Co markup on a HDMI cables, probably not great.
Mark, can you see your mouse to click through?
I
Go to the
feel
next.
everything just explodes.
Okay,
Tell me
I'll just do next slide. Okay, sure, sure, okay. Well, thank you for the intro, Genevieve. Good evening, board. My name is Matt Rio, I'm here director with Echo Request. And as Genevieve laid out so nicely, working very closely with Jeremiah and Genevieve on this comprehensive real estate investment plan. Next slide, please. So it shows
We go.
so much of a better presentation. Yeah.
It's actually loads. To get like your thing here.
We have it.
Maybe
Okay,
you got it
I
there.
got mine on my own. I know that
Only
these-
and I'll try to
okay.
catch up for
So
screen share.
if you're following along in your packet, we're gonna go to the kind of the next slide here.
Are you? Okay.
That's the timeline of the project.
That's the
So,
timeline.
Okay.
slide. Page 84.
Yes, we had just one here. Talking about it, the project.
That was my fault.
So hopefully it's there. So yeah, there's three phases to the project here.
That's page 85.
Page 85. Yes, that's it. We'll get to the next one there. So the three components of the project, we're taking a look at all of your properties, so all the properties that you own. We're also looking at some potential properties that might be of interest for acquisition that align with your board's goals. So that first phase of the project is really focused on the sites. It's focused on the kind of the physical site attributes. We're putting together what are called cut sheets. These are kind of 2 to 3 page PDFs that show, talk about zoning, talk about site quality, site characteristics, so you have that all together in one package. The second phase, which is tied to that first phase, is looking at the market. And this piece is a little bit different than the normal market analyses that we do, where we would kind of look at a whole sub-market and say, this is what's happening to industrial, this is happening to retail. We're trying to tie it right into these sites to answer the question, what's the development potential for each of these sites? So we're going to go through each of the site areas here too, but that's a much more tactical a market assessment here, with zooming in each of the sites, thinking about the site qualities as they relate to how the market is going to treat those. The final phase of the project is this real estate investment plan. So this is putting together all of these pieces into a sequence and coming up with some recommendations around where are some high priority sites. So where does the market align with some of the sites that you have? Where would we recommend that you place those new investments? What are sites that kind of maybe fall down a little bit and might be secondary sites? There might be some opportunity for property disposition. So which sites are maybe in misalignment or not high priority, or maybe in misalignment with some of your goals to say, hey, maybe this property is worth selling to get more resource to put in your high priority sites. So this is we use the word roadmap. It is a sequence of recommended steps that you can all go through the next few years to achieve those goals. Oh, we got it up, great. Okay, so yeah, next slide, yes. So this project is informed by your recently completed strategic plan. 2 goals really stand out there. There's goal 2 and goal 3. So goal 2 is facilitating economic development through strategic management of port-owned buildings and land. And then goal 3 is that encouraging economic development and leading into that tourism economy that that's it. So that's the kind of the foundation of the project.
So for the presentation this evening, what I'd like to do is I'm gonna go through each of the property areas and talk about some of the opportunities that we're seeing in each of those areas, some of the constraints or some of the challenges that we're seeing, and some potential uses for each of those sites. Next slide, please. And we'd love to take this opportunity to gather some feedback from you all. And so kind of two policy questions for you. The first one is, how does the site and market information align with your aspirations? So as we kind of go through each of these sites, how does that kind of reflect with what you want to see happen on port sites with the port's goals, with that strategic plan in mind? And then the second piece is, it's the what's missing question, right? So what additional information are you looking for to make informed decisions about your property portfolio or potential properties for acquisition? So with that, we'll go through each of these site areas and kind of touch it at kind of a high level what's going on there. So next slide, please. Great, so we'll start with a site that we're calling Recreation Point. And I'm sure you're all familiar with all of these sites here. It's property up to the northeast of the community. So one of the things here that stands out is actually jump to some kind of site correction here. The parcel itself is 200 acres, as you can clearly see on the map. Some of that is in the Columbia River, some of that is undevelopable, and so in slopes and kind of other kind of wetland areas. And so the developable area here is actually much smaller than that, right? So that's one of the primary things to keep in mind. Nevertheless, this is a really cool site. The port's made the investment in the easy climb trails, which go through there. Scenery is beautiful. We had the opportunity a few months back to go walk around the site, look across the river. It's really gorgeous there with the gorge on the south side of the river and the north side. So lots of site appeal. And I think this would appeal to hospitality users being out there. It's just, you're in the middle of all the recreation opportunities there. So some of the challenges and site needs there. So talk a little bit about the kind of, you take the 200 acres and you can start kind of shrinking it to where you might be able to develop properties. I think right in that area, that kind of grassy area of the point itself is kind of the central developable area. It's probably between 4 to 7 acres, somewhere in there. You can still do quite a bit with that. A kind of low tier luxury boutique hotel that has 95 rooms takes up about 2.5 acres. And that's with amenity spaces like pool and a restaurant and things like that. So if you've got 4 to 7 acres, and you're thinking about a hospitality use and maybe some other uses, that's still some space there.
Okay, and that piece right there you're talking about, we call it the bluff.
The bluffs, yes.
Oak trees, and it's zoned, half of it I think is zoned high density residential and the other half is resort commercial.
That's
Like I said, very developable. The downside to it is it's $1.5 million just to get infrastructure across to the edge of the property.
You got
Although
it.
I'm not sure that the commission has is big on the idea of developing that because it is such a nice piece of wood. And it's gonna be quite a ways out, I think, before we could develop it. Was he actually considering whether you could do a zone swap for some of our other property that is zoned industrial? Might be easier to, because I don't know that I don't think we want to lose control or sell that property. But I'm not certain that zoning, or I should say development, is anywhere in the near future.
In addition to that, any development on that bluff would just completely destroy easy climb, because it would just take it all
Exactly.
away.
The piece of property that I think that, in that it could be developed is maybe just some docks and things off of what we call Government Cove, or possibly Hole 2, where we just put in some docks for also enhanced recreation, so kayaking and that sort of thing. I don't know that we'll be doing. I'm not certain the commission has an appetite for developing that property.
Like a wilderness style campground without amenities or utilities could work out there too for. if
I mean, it's
we're-
right there, it's right, not in this exact color, like. Corned off area, but right there is where the campground would be anyways, like right, just
Yeah.
to the, something like.
Well, I was saying like the little parking lot roundabout area flat that's in this.
Yeah,
Within the boundaries of this recreation.
yeah,
point.
that's kind of what I thought was perhaps on the lower edge of the bluff property, you could put in maybe some cabins or something that's not, very low impact, maybe some, more like dry camping or that sort of thing.
Right.
But
Just like have a head, like, just, I forget.
recreational enhancements, but not,
Yeah.
but
Nothing
not,
that like disturbs the environment or brings too much traffic out there
Mhm.
because we like it being part of Cascade Locks.
Mhm.
I wanna make sure that Ted knows he doesn't have to raise his hand to chime in, we can hear you. If you wanna, give Matt your thoughts on this piece as well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Genevieve. I would probably say that I echo everybody's thoughts about not wanting to develop that area. If anything, it would be a light use, like Carrie was saying, that we might just do, some sites for unsupported boondocking, no facility type of camping out in that center grassy area of that area. But for the most part, I kind of echo the idea of leaving it as is. Since there's so many other things, other properties we have the possibilities to do something cool with. So I'd probably leave it as is.
I think we'll still come back with the same information with this property of the things that could be done with it, that its best uses are, whether or not the commission decides to move forward on any of those things. Like this obviously already sounds like it's going into the very end of the priority pile, but that's going to help us in this process, is being able to say, excellent, we know all that information about that property. Now we lose it.
Oh, it's back.
Don't turn around.
If nobody, yeah, terrific feedback, and yeah, I think, commissioners, I think all of that, that's your assessment of, that infrastructure is substantial to get in there for a higher intensity use. Another quality that's a little bit challenging there for hospitality use is that it's not visible from the highway, and it's kind of tucked in behind industrial, and so hospitality wants to be very visible and kind of have some easy access there. So I think you're right in line there with your thoughts about maybe it's a longer term potential or some lighter use.
Yeah, but also,
So I like the idea of docks and stuff like that, give some water use down there.
Let's go to the next sound check.
Slide.
Light industrial, okay.
Our campground.
Yeah, staying within the same part of the community, you can slide down to the next.
Multiple layers.
Yes, definitely.
Here we go. Now to the top of the priority list.
There we go. Yeah, terrific. And what a beautiful sight this is. I was just out there this evening. I did not get stuck behind the train, although I thought I was gonna get the whole shot there. Yeah, it's a terrific site. I understand that you're exploring the campground use on part of this site as well. For industrial use or light industrial use, it's nice and square and flat, right? These are qualities that big blocks of the light industrial likes. You have some terrific template across the street there, so no surprise that I think this will continue to be a good location for the comps that you already have here in your community and that you've already built. I think one of the considerations here, and this is under the challenges bucket, but I don't see it as much of the challenges. Site compatibility of just being thoughtful about when you have recreation use next to the industrial use, kind of how those interface, right? So if you have a retail component, kind of what, where those front doors are and how those interface. It's not like a big challenge, but just something to be thinking about there. So this continues to be a good light industrial site for those target industries that you're looking at here in the region. Food and beverage manufacturing, there's definitely an emerging, or there's a maturing cluster there, and so we think that continues to make sense. And then the campground would require some review of the kind of pathways for comprehensive plan change and zoning change. There is a pathway there, but it's a longer process, you know, that you have to engage with the state on. So I understand that Jeremiah's gonna be talking about the campground work as well, so. Any feedback on this site, commissioners?
Yeah, that's kind of our hope. I believe that, as a driver, we've had some real challenges getting industry. Any type of light industrial
Yeah.
manufacturing, anything, because we have some real challenges as far as. Workforce
Yeah.
availability, that sort of thing, and our community having the amenities to attract businesses.
Mhm.
Because, yeah, and also then the workforce problem for the businesses. So we've had a real challenge getting industry in there. The place has been there for 40 years and all of the development has been because the port built the buildings.
Mhm.
And has had a hard time making a dime on any of it. And you know, we lose money at it a lot better than we make money. And we could get anybody to actually come in and build. So our hope is that a campground, as you know, people have found the gorge and it is an expanding market.
Mhm.
The demand is just continuing to grow, and being adjacent to our recreational properties
Mhm.
is going to be a real, I believe, an amenity and will be the driver for some light commercial, light industrial, some light industrial, as you said, like beverage manufacturing, tasting rooms, that sort of thing, that would be a driver off of a campground, that they would be kind of a symbiotic relationship. They would benefit from each other. And then we can plug that revenue back into other recreational development that would further, you know, drive some of that east side investment.
Sure.
That we wouldn't be having to invest 100% of the money ourselves, that people would see the benefit.
Looking for that partnership. Yeah.
So that's kind of the hope, I think, is that both the campground and some light commercial, some commercial and light industrial spaces to the south side of Franklin Way. And they can jump in at any point here. But
I don't see it in this slide deck, but right below, just south of that property, don't we own the property right across the railroad tracks too?
We do own a small sliver there across the railroad, next to the railroad tracks there, yes.
Yeah, cause I think some of us are thinking that would be a potentially good property for like a storage facility or something.
Is that this triangular?
Yeah.
There is a small sliver there. I think challenge on that
I'd
one
like
would
to
be
have that included in
access. Yes,
this
for sure, absolutely.
assessment.
What about that parking lot notch? Is that not ours?
It is ours, but it's not part of that particular piece of property. So the board, it is ours,
Yeah.
but let me see if I can see where it. It's
Well,
not, not part of that law.
While Jeremiah is looking at that, I would actually echo the fact that I think everyone's excited about seeing this be developed into a campground area, because we've tried to go commercial with this, and just to Brad's point, you know, we really haven't been able to attract the businesses for it, and also as we talk about making recreation a priority for our community and for the port, that having a campground would definitely be in line with that. And then also with our discussions we've been having with other partners, I would have to say, not necessarily business partners, but people that would be influential in getting their support and their buy-in. For example, the Friends of the Gorge, they're really excited about the idea that we build a campground, because they're constantly being asked for the request to build more campgrounds in the area. So there's a lot more need than there is actual space for people to do that. And I think that would also be a major driver for bringing people to Cascade Locks, to which would energize our local business community. So that's all I have to say on that.
So back to your question, it's not shown on this map and it is connected to that small sliver that she's talking about. Generally, in my mind, when we talked about the campground and this piece of property, that would be part of that is taking that lot and making it part of this lot. That does leave that sliver, which has not been discussed. I'll show that to you on the GIS map at the next call. And if we need to go out and take a look at it, we'll go out and take a look at it. Good catch. Really good catch.
Right.
Actually.
Sure, next slide.
We're also kind of thinking, having the commercial spaces on the south side of, Brownwood Way would also be kind of a sound buffer for the campground from
For the highway.
and a visual buffer from the trains.
Yeah.
Yes,
Down
in the
there.
train, yes, that's right, which would have this experience, yeah. That does come rumbling,
Yeah.
for sure, yeah.
Well, I don't know if it would help with the highway. I don't know that it would help with the train noise, but I think if we develop this campground, one of the things we need to do is take into consideration what it takes to get a no horn zone. I know we have a whole study on that already completed.
Yeah,
Definitely need a lot of trees, line, fences.
Right.
For sure. Absolutely.
all right, next site area actually here, we'll head to downtown. To the Main Street area here.
All right.
So, with this study, we're taking a look at 3 properties, that the port does not own. These are privately held, properties here. One is a former hardware store, one is a former Chinese restaurant, and there's a corner, lot, that has, some housing, I think some.
Used to be a gas station.
It used to be a gas station, yeah. So I think some of the opportunities here is building on the momentum that the port and partners have got going on the Main Street. I've been in the region for 20 years and have come through Cascade Locks a number of times, and it's remarkable the change there with the breweries and the fish house and other things that have gone in there, and it's quite the destination now. So some of these properties, the former Chinese restaurant, which is no longer open, is in a spot kind of in the middle where folks, visitors are gonna be walking by as they go down to get their ice cream or come back up to get their beer, and so it would be advantageous as a development site or a redevelopment site. Some of the challenges, and this is something you see in any kind of Main Street location, is you have historic properties that sometimes are more expensive to rehab than redevelop, and then also with Main Street properties being smaller sites, sometimes they're difficult to park. And so I understand there is some public parking in town there, but those are just some considerations of how you park this thing. If people are gonna go visit this site, how do they get there, and how does that kind of fit in with everything that's going on there? Retail and commercial, following the zoning, following it being the central part of town, continuing to build on that. These are some like missing teeth, you'd say. And so no surprise there, but I think these are some terrific sites that can really add some quality there on the Main Street area.
So I don't know if this is part of this one's idea that I've had for a long time that I've tried to push, is the idea of an overlay zone that would be for down Forest Lane. The idea is to connect the downtown to the east side by having an overlay zone that allows for non-conforming uses within the zone through a conditional use permit. So that's a lot of cities use that as a strategy to try to stretch the downtown use, and I see Forest Lane as a logical spot because there's a lot of bigger properties. It's all about mitigating the parking, the impacts on the property. So if somebody wants to have a farm, like a farm stand, right now it's not allowed, although they pretty much ignore it, but there's a lot of home-based businesses that there's a lot of restrictions on home-based businesses if you're going by the code, but through a conditional use permit, then it would allow for somebody to have a little coffee shop or some low impact business just based on the amount of parking and access, etc. So anyway, I don't know if that's a place for this, but I was thinking that's a good way to kind of try to stretch the downtown and connect the downtown to the east side, it's a little cluster, little types of businesses.
I was thinking something similar a couple years ago, but not necessarily down Forest Lane, but that property that we have next to the fire station. And basically creating a large booking for this downtown corridor, which would basically start from that particular area and go all the way to basically the Brighams, right, or to the bridge side.
Mhm.
And that would create a corridor for the entire downtown area, but all of that would be on Wanapa. I guess I'm not following when you're saying putting it on Forest Lane.
If you've ever
Okay.
seen like smaller college
So,
towns
a
sometimes
lot
where
of-
you, oh, sorry, Brad,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, you
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. You're gonna do great.
A lot of towns, Jacksonville, Oregon, a lot of towns use that to be able to have, whether somebody wants a little insurance office in the downtown area that's in a.
Oh, because they already have
In a
residential houses.
residential property.
Gotcha.
So that way you could have a business. And you can have a sign right now, it doesn't allow you, the home-based business provision does not allow you to have traffic noise. Signs, anything.
You can see someone
so
running,
that would
cutting
allow
hair
for-
out of there, doing massages out of there, having an insurance shop out of there, selling plants out of there that kind of spread a little bit farther down
Right.
Wanapa.
I got it, okay.
Like those neighborhoods you see in bigger cities where it's like old houses have a lot of attorneys' offices and stuff. In them, and it's all kind of.
Coffee shops, and things like that, Astoria, I think's one of them, and a lot of towns that have older homes and things like that.
And the overlay zone in generally is, I mean, that was a tool that you guys used at Port of Hood River on the waterfront. So it's a different issue completely, but not something that it doesn't get utilized from a
As
bag
far
of tools.
these particular properties, I feel like at this point might, in my opinion, are lower priority of acquisition because of our current assets and ability to buy them. Since we're trying to focus a lot of our funds on developing that light industrial campground, RV resort.
So one of the things that he mentioned at the beginning of this, that one of the takeaways of different ideas for them, but also things that you would want to see or need to know to make decisions.
Right.
So is there specific things about these particular properties that you would like to know or see in this study? So that when you get it back, you're like, where's that at? Cool, that was a question asked and answered.
Those properties are
Do
tear downs.
they all fall into like a historical? Well, Biggie's Gummo.
Downtown's developed,
Right.
yeah, wouldn't be,
Yeah.
wouldn't be considered historic, but they would be within the downtown development zone, so they kind of,
Like Gummo's not historic building or anything.
no,
Biggie's is.
yeah, unfortunately.
The ability to tear them
You
down.
require these for, if we were, for an acquisition, be to have build a business.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know we're looking for a new spot for our museum, like any empty property along Main Street to build a brand new building would be super desirable if we had the type of funding and investment, outside investment for that, which could be a partnership with the tribes or, grant opportunities. I'm not 100% sold on the hardware store being that.
Generally,
property.
when you guys look at these properties though, you don't see acquiring them and then developing them yourselves, right? Is that fair to say that we're not gonna tear down the Chinese food restaurant and build something else that the port's gonna own or operate? We're gonna be looking to partner with developers on these things if we were to acquire new properties. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that in the past has been a strategy that has worked well for the port is we leverage our properties to offer them at good prices and terms that allow other people to come in and drive the type of development we want to see. So we can say we have our 2 acres next to the fire hall in the downtown. We can, it's valued at 1.2 million. We have nowhere near that into it. And we don't necessarily need to sell it at 1.2 million. It just depends on how do we drive the type of development that we want. Whether it's like a mixed use, kind of a mixed use commercial and residential up above, that sort of thing. And a lot of our properties, I think, are gonna fall into that category as far as using those properties to drive the type of development we want to see
Mhm.
in the area, part of our kind of holistic approach to how we develop, you know, the area. If we're gonna create jobs in the service sector, then we need to address at some point the housing that is associated with that. And how do we use our properties to achieve that and make it viable for a developer to come in and do the type of development that we want.
I align with that as well. I mean, we have two pretty significant problems as far as, um. You know, we're an economic driver, and there's two significant problems that we face as just the town in general. And one is there is a challenge with some easy to obtain residential, some sort of sub like apartments or studios or anything. There's a challenge there within this town. And then the second thing, which I think is a significantly larger challenge in my particular opinion, is that there's no business space. If anyone here in town right now wanted to start your own business, there's not a place for you to do it.
Good point.
And that is a huge challenge. If we have 44 new houses going in on or on Forest Lane, and any other residential places pop in, if there's no, that means that there's a lot of people with a lot of ideas that can do really great things for this community. And right now, our community, I've talked about it before, but we're missing some very key small elements to this town that we have to have that to continue growing. Things as simple as a doctor or a bookstore or a bank. We don't have those things, so we need spaces for those places to open and for a small business to grow and to thrive. And right now, there's literally nowhere to do that. So as far as I'm concerned, if any development happens on downtown area, it has to be mixed use.
Yeah.
It has to have the opportunity for people to come in, small business startup, and for there to be some sort of availability for lower income types of rental units.
So, and I think some of the stuff that will also can feed in this conversation, he's going to talk a little bit and we'll see where the conversation goes, but of disposition of other properties that we have with the intent to acquire those properties and where that sort of falls in your guys' priorities, right? Do we eventually come across a property in this stack that we go, you know, we're not really doing anything with it and it's also a low priority, right? If for obviously the exact opposite is the one out there at the lot, but it sounds like it's something we're never gonna do with, but we love it and we don't want anybody else to do anything with it.
I think Ted, a couple of months ago, Ted reminded me if I'm remembering this accurately, but he mentioned, you know, we have those 3 lots on the other side of 84, the small lots,
Mhm.
and using those as swap for any of these potentially. And I think that would solve a whole bunch of problems.
I had thrown out that idea.
You did too, okay.
Well, Jeremiah, about the idea of. Because a couple of the pieces of property, the people are, say, I can't buy a house for what I can sell that property, what I get out of that property. And these are people who are older and that sort of thing. I'm thinking, well, could we take those residential lots and build a house on them
Mhm.
and swap the house for the property on Waterfly, say, here's a house, we'll trade you a house for that property. Is that viable? I don't know, but you know, the other challenge we have with housing is the fact that there's really only 2 pieces of property in the whole town that are zoned high density residential, one of which is out on the bluff and the other is across from the fire hall, east of the fire hall, big block of property, and somebody from Texas is sitting on it, and you know, which a lot of people buy properties in town, and then at some point we'll develop them, but are primarily sitting on them. And including the piece north of City Hall, across the street here. A pretty good chunk of property could be a really nice mixed use, and I believe that they, in their heart, would like to do it, but they've got other projects they're currently working on, and it's not their first priority, so. But yeah, it's coming up with how do we develop affordable housing for the service sector people? Because you know, it's very hard to find any housing.
I'm sure that you were given some data prior to this, but what 90% of the people that work here don't live here, 90% of the people that live here.
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
work
it's
here.
close. It's a figure that's close, it's like 87
And that's a
and
huge,
13.
that's a huge disconnect.
Yeah, jobs having.
That's why we have to have some sort of housing for
Yeah.
people that live here or work here.
I just
It's like,
want to follow up a little bit on what you were talking about earlier about small business spaces. You know, the port is at 100% occupancy now, both in our large industrial spaces and our small incubator spaces. So, do you see the port playing a role in fulfilling the need in developing those smaller spaces as incubator spaces? Or do you want to hear more about the potential for that? Or do you want to, is
Right.
this sort of like, we're just sort of, not really necessarily trying to develop a office building, let's say, for those smaller spaces, or is that where you were going, or were you?
Where I was coming from was just a very, like, I'm sure to all of us, a very obvious situation that our town has.
Yeah,
If I was to put on, hey, I'm gonna solve this problem right now, I could imagine any of these three or all of these three becoming some sort of business front, like business, small business storefronts.
Yeah.
And ideally, except for probably the hardware store, the other two could ideally be some sort of mixed use where the bottom floor is going to be small business. And then second, third floor would be some sort of residential. I personally think that the incubator space is probably one of the smartest, coolest things that the port has done in a long, long time. And at the same token, I can't see anyone, I can't see where a Fortune Club would even move to still do their stuff. So to me, I think that that's a hole that we as a commission need to figure out is where do we get a space that becomes our next incubator space? Because right now, it's either let them stay there and find a new incubator space or be like, you guys, this is, your time's up, you gotta move something.
You incubated right over to Stevenson.
Yeah, and I don't want that at all, and I don't think that, I can't envision, and I'm not the board of Fortune Club. But they are a tenant, and we need to figure that out at some point.
Yeah.
So in order to find another incubator space, maybe it is getting one of these three properties or some other property that might come up and say, oh, here's your new incubator spot, and if you're in the downtown corridor, man, there's thousands and thousands of people walking by every summer.
Thank you.
As far as development of mixed use, I think with the property that we have, the most logical choice for the project for it is the property next to the fire hall, 2.2 acres, because there's enough space. And I think I would lean towards, as I said before, leveraging that property and offering terms at a low and possibly a low price to drive somebody into that property that would develop it for mixed use rather than the port trying to do it, because we have a distinct disadvantage. Prevailing wage, being a government entity, it's gonna cost us 40% more to do anything, and we really kind of suck at it. We've proven that. So, find a business that's what they do.
We
can-
have it.
Well,
But maybe older.
Let's say.
That also happens to be the next slide, so.
Yeah.
this is it.
Let me chime in real quick before you start on that. So on this last one, I would say that it would be low priority on securing these properties. However, if there was some sort of property swap, kind of like what Brad was talking about, I would be open to that. And then as it relates to what do we do with the land, those properties, if we were to get them, I'd be in the mind of that we clear it and then we help use blank lots as an incentive to bring in businesses who want to build their own structure, like we did with Thunder Island and Gorge Brewing, and get some real development in these locations. But as it relates to a priority list and use of our limited resources, cash assets, things like this, I would still be saying that the campground trumps these properties downtown. Plus, also they're not even available other than the hardware store, which, as it is, I've yet found a good use for how the hardware store is currently designed. find an occupant to take over if we were to do it. So anyhow, I'm very not excited about the hardware store, and I'm low priority on those other properties. Unless we can do a land swap deal that doesn't affect our cash assets. So that's what we have on that.
I think everyone, like you mentioned front, the campground is obviously number one. Everything else is
This is
two on.
What can we be working on now in the pre-development phase that you guys are going to wanna pivot to?
Right.
As soon as that campground opens.
It's also gonna give me an
And I would say
opportunity.
that would be another reason that I would opt towards any type of development that we would do would be incentivize private investors into whether, we're offering terms or a good price on the property to incentivize it, something like that, that could coexist with our development of the campground, because it's not requiring our assets to do that. It's simply going out for an RFP and offering and finding for a RFDI development interest and
I would
find somebody and say, we're willing to work a deal if you're willing to consider this type of development, that then could do
I
it
think-
while we're doing the other.
My opinion on those smaller properties downtown though is if we were to get them and clear them and have them vacant to try to attract businesses in, I would want less of like the large brewery, Thunder Island, Gorgeous beer type business, and more small businesses that we can put multiple things on one property to create opportunities for more people.
So it does give the campground as the number one priority. It also gives me the tools that I'm going to need to be able to go out and move some of these projects forward, being able to say for sure that this commission has reflected on this, that we have an opinion and a study that supports these uses. And now I can be out with my cut sheets that show, hey, this is the property, this is the challenges, this is what we want for it, this is what the market is for it, these are the things they're willing to use it on, et cetera. And being able to shop those out to developers to get projects to move forward that maybe aren't our number one priority, but I can at least be talking about them. So I come back with a pretty good set of tools here as well to move to advance those without it using resources in-house.
Right. I think, obviously campground is there, and I think one of the pros is a lot of the things that we've already talked about of like, one, that being beneficial for recreation, for tourism, for all of that. The downside of actually having that there, and you kind of touched on it, is that by not having some sort of building that might be demisable walls or something that would be probably a little bit easier to rent out than Flex 6 was, right, something smaller, then we would be bringing in more jobs. Whereas the campground is going to have limited employment opportunities in comparison to someone like a Frame that's out there right now, especially if they expand like they could. So there's nothing specific to any of these particular lots, but I think that's something that we do need to keep in mind is if any of these things, if we use these in any sort of capacity, we need to be thoughtful about making sure that we are creating good jobs for the community. Because right now it's very limited and it's very challenging. And so being able to have and flip that 90-10 issue that we have and start employing more people here in town with good paying jobs would be a huge economic driver. And that is exactly what our calling is. So that's not any specific land use, but it's something that I think we should keep in mind.
I'd chime in here on that. That's a good point. I do feel that as we make Cascade Locks a more popular place, it's going to trigger more people taking a look at Cascade Locks, more people wanting to move to Cascade Locks, more people wanting to buy and shop in Cascade Locks, and all of that extra excitement about what we're trying to create is probably, in my mind, I'm hopeful, will trigger some of these people who are sitting on these lots, sitting on this property to actually take action. So we, as the port, don't have to be building all the facilities. We don't have to own all the land to get the positive results that you're shooting for, provided we can make Cascade Locks the cool place to be, where all the cool kids want to be. And once we do that, people are going to get off their behinds and do something with their vacant lots, like across the street from the city hall, such as the empty lots that are sitting around. I think we'll get a lot more activity out of that. And we don't have to do all the work. We just need to find ways to create reasons why people want to do business in Cascade Locks.
Well, and I think another thing we need to keep in mind is that we need to eventually stop relying so heavily on bridge tolls for revenue. So if we can have properties like the resort, RV resort, and a storage unit, stuff like that, that would be fairly easy for the port to build and manage. It will be good revenue replacement for the eventual needs of the bridge.
Terrific. Really appreciating the conversation here. Moving into the next site here, we've already started to touch on here, the East Gateway site, as we're calling it. So that triangle on Wanapa, right next to the fire station that you're all familiar with. We are not architects at Echo Northwest. We do kind of fiddle around with zoning and kind of what you can potentially build in here. So we have a team of data analysts that do feasibility work or do a little bit of light feasibility work, but in order to get there, we look at all those setbacks, look at height regulation, and try to figure out what kind of box you can put on certain sites. And so looking at this one, our estimate is that you can probably do 20,000 square feet of commercial space. And that's both kind of looking at setbacks, heights, and then how you would mark that as well. So there are some site constraints. It's triangle. Triangles don't like to be, are a little bit more difficult. You have to have some on-site stormwater, but still with that, we think it could probably be about 20,000 square feet parked on site. We are taking a look at mixed use as well there. I don't have those numbers right at my fingertips, but I think it was between 30 to 50 units potentially. More of a challenge there with if you're parking at kind of where people are parking, different ingress and egress, of course, for residents versus the visitors. But I agree, I think there's a real potential here for this to be a gateway into the community from the east. One thing to think about is it is relatively far from all of the energy that's happening in the central part of downtown. And so right now, to develop that site with commercial, it would want to be some kind of destination commercial. So, grocery store or some kind of outdoor retailer, something that's pulling people up. They're not going to stop at the ice cream store and then walk, a third of a mile or half a mile, whatever it is, up to that site.
So at the same time, that could also be a lot of the local stuff that we are missing.
Yes.
It could be the bank, it could be the doctor, it could be like the things that we don't have.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that medical uses fall into that category, things like that. Yeah, dentist office, yeah. So, okay.
Is there any use in that property as being a civic hub or administrative buildings for city and port and those types of, I think I know Jordan is working on trying to find a way out of this building and has had conversations with his council about that property and that idea. We've been supportive of them move
the city hall property and knock down city hall.
We've been supportive of
and develop that piece of property then for
because they came to us and tried to get money for a study to do that. And we were supportive of them in theory of that, of us moving in with them. We didn't specifically say this piece of property or anything past the study of just like, yeah, we're supportive of you finding out if that makes sense.
I see lots of town city halls that are kind of intermixed with commercial and residential too. So I would be on board with that idea if it wasn't just the sole use of the property and if we were able to intermix some additional businesses and stuff in with it.
We don't need a 20,000 square foot city hall.
No.
Satellite for the college, port
Yes.
buildings, those types of things. Yeah.
As well.
And business as well. I see. Okay.
I mean, I obviously colleges are education hubs, but I mean, that's also jobs, that's business in that regard.
like I said, it was with contingencies of trading it in some fashion for the city hall property, because that's a pretty good chunk of property in the middle of town that then could be redeveloped and help to, make our town look pretty good.
So I'll say something dumb just to
Put
start
mixed
the,
use on it with a view of the river.
I'll say something dumb just to start the conversation. What about a McDonald's?
No.
Great. What about something like that he says that pulls people off of 84 because they know this thing, right? Maybe they don't know the ice cream and shop in town because they've never heard of that. They do definitely hop off 84 because there says there's gas here. So we know there's things that people will get off 84 because it's a thing that they know and they recognize. Is there any interest in having something that is franchisee big? We don't have one in Stevenson, there's not one in Troutdale, but Cascade Locks has one. I don't have an opinion.
Taco Bell.
There's
one in Stevenson.
Something, maybe,
McDonald's.
think of something in Portland that people love, a Killer Burger. A Killer Burger is pretty chainy at this point, but something like that.
I get what you're saying.
Mod pizza.
We're not talking about exactly who, but like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Kenny Rogers Grocery still a thing.
Yeah, right.
I mean, if we created a facility that had multiple business storefronts and one of them happened to be a Killer Burger, I wouldn't be opposed to that, but I wouldn't dedicate an entire property to it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the thing that you're talking about is. If this, when you say 20,000 square feet, is that just if it was one level or is that multiple levels?
So that would be one level.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So then if it was 20,000 square feet as the first level, we could have multiple businesses in there. Wonder if it could be something like
Sure.
Killer Burger or McDonald's, whatever, those pull people off. And then we could use a second or a third story for residential as well.
Mhm.
That would be even 30
Or
residential
commercial.
units at a small.
Or make all of
Doctor's
the,
offices can be
Right.
on second and third
make all
floors.
the city hall.
But
city
what
hall
I'm
and
getting is like just those, like, just 30 residential units is a huge, huge change just for this town alone.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yes, I would be open to it. Obviously, we don't have the answer.
What about this lot was 100% just residential, just high density housing? And forget everything else, because one thing I think that was touched on at the start of this, when looking at trying to do mixed use, we ran into the problem of this parking allocation for both businesses and residential, and how that really gobbles up space. So what if we just made it one or the other? What if we made it high density housing?
The new parking code just went into effect, like just recently.
Mhm.
Whenever you did your assessment, did that have the new parking code or the previous parking?
I would have to check.
We had an
Because the previous
architect,
one was way more challenging
Oh,
than
yeah,
the new
it's
one.
And I think-
pretty,
we
And I
also
think the
had,
financial, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, we had an architect come present to us about one of our residential properties to turn it into workforce type housing, and their idea was to do the parking underground.
wow.
So, I mean, that there's options, I think, for parking too. It might be pricier to do something like that, but
And mixed use development, housing above is more expensive as well
Quite a bit,
because
yeah.
of the fire code restrictions, sprinklers
Yeah.
and
Yeah, we need it though.
Yeah.
fire separation and all of that. What is it, 2-hour fire separation between
Yeah,
businesses?
that's correct. The cost goes up a couple orders of magnitude when you're putting residences.
So hard to put affordable housing.
Yeah.
Above a business because of those restrictions, extra fire code, et cetera.
Still necessary for our town. We need
It
stuff
is,
like that.
definitely.
I think, young people, shops and stuff down below, and
Yeah.
it was. Really be.
I mean, you see it happening everywhere.
So higher, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm. So Commissioner Lorang, I think it gets to your point around what the willingness is and the ability of the port to let properties go less than market value or use other kind of incentive tools to get that type of desired development. So
Exactly.
commercial might be able to pencil, and again, we are doing some light feasibility work on this. But mixed use might prove to be a challenge, and so, but if that's a goal of the port within the financial resource capacity of the port, then that might be one way to achieve that goal.
I mean, that's just it. That's our charge is economic development.
Yep. And I
Not
said,
residential.
we have
So,
much less, I'll just say, much less than 1.2 million in the property.
Right.
And we don't necessarily have to make money on the property, but if we drive the type of development we want and make it pencil for the developer to do the type of development we want, we both stretch our dollars because we're really not investing anything other than losing the equity or the profit from the property that we had And then we can do that development and still move forward with campground and other types of our pet projects.
Would you sell this property if you could use the money to buy one of the downtown properties?
And that's it.
I don't know.
The only,
think that's-
the only drawback to selling a property outright is then you lose control over what it becomes, because even if they say, oh, I'm going to do this, because we went down that road before where somebody's saying, I'm going to do this and I may do this and I may do that. But
Which
his
is-
main anchor business he wanted to put in immediately. Because of the restrictions around that type of business, it made everything else illegal.
If
If
this-
this way, that idea, I mean, if you got something downtown which needs some, and which is already there. And that, who knows what that could be, but like, I like the idea of like maybe swapping something like that for something that's already in town, like in this part of town, that we could. Develop the meeting.
I feel like we've made some swaps in the past that, well, I would have regretted if I was part of that decision-making process too, so.
I can console myself in the fact that most of those were prior to my tenure, so.
Well, terrific. We've got 2 more site areas to take a look at here for the next one. Yeah, we've
Over. Back to.
now hit the marine park.
Not for sale.
No, what is terrific amenity, right? This is yeah, and then Commissioner, I think you're right. I think there's less to say about this one because it is clearly the amenity, the jewels there for the property, for the port, excuse me. There are a few existing buildings there, so the port offices are there, using some of that area for a campground and event space. I think a lot of that is the appropriate use. It's finding its right way there. So I think we can look at some compatibilities or expansion of some of those event uses. But I think this is terrific amenity space for the community, and maybe there's one consideration around increasing access from the downtown, and it's particularly challenging because you have the railroad there in between. But anyway, to kind of increase utilization and access to all of the traffic you get in downtown, this might be something to consider.
One of the ideas I had was to potentially look at over down by where the stern wheeler is and Ixtapa, like across the other side of the roundabout, looking at that as a potential site for a new building with a museum visitor center type thing. Because if we're gonna have American Cruise Line docking there anyway, we're gonna have a lot of foot traffic through that area. And we really want to expand our museum. Well, I do. I'm on the museum board, so I'm a little bit biased maybe, but I think there's partnership opportunities for new buildings like that too. So and
you're
having a
talking
bigger
about-
visitor center, a bigger cafe.
West of Sacagawea.
Along the seawall.
Mhm.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, we talked about this a while back too, whenever we're talking about campground or something down there, because that, we talked about it before, where it's that pier. If it gets put in, it's gonna get put in, whether we do something or not down there, and a lot of
Right.
people are just gonna leave. Town, and we're not gonna be able to capture any of that tourist dollar, so something down there to capture something.
Well,
Right now, we
that,
don't have a gift shop even,
that
even though I still wine bar, a gift shop down there, like, capture something.
turn the museum in its current place into an Airbnb or something like. But
City Hall.
oh
The City Hall and the museum,
yeah, we could turn this place.
and then
into-
City Hall pays us money.
This would be a good museum as a historic building. Solved.
With basketball in the background.
Sure, so let's jump to this last side.
Hillside residential.
Residential, and it sounds like I've been thinking about this property for a while here too, so probably familiar with some of the challenges around infrastructure kind of up to the hill there. And then from a development standpoint, the topography, you've got a little bit of slopes in there. I think there's some areas that are up to 20%, and so it's not all developable. Again, from our kind of like Google Earth kind of playing around, anything, there's about five acres developable land there's a precedent for housing up in this area, not only is it zone there, but there's kind of hints, we were kind of up there. Again, in our site tour, there's some properties already there, and so they're gonna want to see kind of a mirroring of that. So I think some of the questions here on this site is the alignment with the port's goal around economic development, and if you want to be residential housing developers, or if this is something that you might want to partner with, or
That's one of those ones, like I was talking about, the strategy of.
Yeah.
Incentivizing private investment.
Yeah.
On that property. Now, I understand that there's a good chunk of this on the south side of the property, which is in a slide zone. Now, either you have to excavate, which when they put in Harmony Heaven, which is just around the corner there, which I don't know what it's called now, but anyway, it's where all the chalet, I think they call it chalets or something. But they had to do a ton of excavating, taking tons of dirt out of that and made it not profitable for a developer.
I mean,
Now, the
half
only
of those
thing you
lots still
could-
haven't been built on yet.
Now, the only thing you could get away with
They're working on, I've been
on
up there
that
lately.
property in a slide zone is something that's
Like
not
4 new
considered
houses.
permanent housing. So if you could zone that for an RV park for a tiny home community, could go in there because it's not considered permanent housing and therefore the slide zone would come into effect. So not to say that, that would necessarily be the best use for it, but it would be a viable use that a lot of housing could go in quickly. And there are places that are putting in tiny home communities that are doing it right and with big restrictions and stuff so that it doesn't become a, fifth wheels with skirts on them and old rundown places, but that are driven towards model homes that are then sold turnkey and keep up the quality. But also then, as I said, you could get away with not having to excavate the slide property.
Just food for thought. If it is such a challenge with housing there. Would this be better for campground?
No, cause
It's
of the
much more
slopey,
expensive for development.
it would be
because of
really hard to park big fifth wheel trailers on all the
So
slopey
like
stuff.
5 full acres.
It would be a different type of
A
campground,
lot of
but
excavation and.
it would,
Cause like dry acres right there. Feels like that would be a. Just throwing, obviously, we've moved down the campground over here path.
But not
But I'm
adjacent
wondering
to
if this one would actually be also good or better than the other one, because you're already in the forest. Dry Creek is right there. You're not gonna be able to use 3/4 of the place.
But I see
I'm
the,
wondering if that's.
yeah,
there's something
but
to
I
think
see,
about.
I see the east side development as being the driver. The recreational development in adjacent with the trails and the river and kayaking and biking and also being adjacent to commercial properties, which then could be a symbiotic relationship between the campground. So I see the campground as a driver for commercial development and private investment.
How do you see for commercial development other than having buildings next to that campground?
Just because
We have
as
more
I said,
visitors and
you
space
have more
for
visitors and then all of a
More
sudden,
businesses will
Freedom's
wanna
gonna wanna put in a tasting room, the cidery might wanna, Son of Man might want to develop right there because they'll then also have a tasting room and the same thing with, Landmass Wines may wanna put their development there so that they can have a tasting
That would
room.
be commercial for them 2 miles outside of town though.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't necessarily drive people here.
I see the benefit of the fact that there's already a paved road. And it's nice and flat, doesn't need to be excavated, it's nicely treed, but not so treed, I see the downside of
It's
the
already got
KLA
utilities.
as it's being heavily wooded. If you've got a $100,000 40-foot RV, driving it amid the trees that are gonna drop sap on it. And maybe hit a branch or something as a downside, if you have something that's nicely treed but already flat and has a paved road and infrastructure. It's gonna be both much more, much less expensive to develop a campground. Where we already have the infrastructure, the road, and it's flat, as
Don't we
you
have
said,
infrastructure up to at least to the campground? I mean, up to the parking lot?
up
To the
to it,
parking lot.
up to the parking lot,
Yeah.
but it would have to be quite a bit of excavation to make it flat enough to be able to put in sites, that sort of thing. Plus the fact that it's not really adjacent to, other than the hiking trail, it's not really adjacent to biking, kayaking, that sort of thing. That's on the other side of town, so. Although it's not a bad idea, it's just.
I mean, even if we have 20 acres out there, we can only use 5 of it, that means it's 15 acres of potential new trails, right?
Is,
Huh.
yeah,
Now, obviously, we've already started going down this path, but I'm just thinking about this in comparison to like some of the downsides that we have without being. Yeah.
one of
Just
the,
food for thought.
one of the things for consideration is you guys have within your strategic business plan of, of one of your goals is workforce housing.
Mhm.
And other than, other than the lot down next to the fire station, this is really the only lots that we have where the opportunity to make an impact on that.
Right.
And so it's from staff standpoint, because it's a goal in the next 5 years, right? It's this one isn't one of those ones that's out there a ways. Like, we feel like we should be making a move on this one now, campground first, but this is also in those goals. And so the direction that we go, that you guys want us, we're not sure how hard to push on this based on that goal. And this also sort of being the only real spot where we see we could make a move at that. And
I'm
also
talking about the lots,
No,
not
that-
the whole place.
either one, the
That's
lots or the
probably,
whole place.
Currently zoned medium density residential, correct? Which means you could still have, you could have some, mixed types of housing there, as long as the overall, density is not, but that was my thought was, this is a place to, go after an RFDI to get, interest in
They're
affordable type housing. We got, as you said, at least 5 acres. But if you could utilize that part of the property that's in the slide zone as a type of tiny home community, then that is another type of affordable housing, where the cost of the housing is kind of somewhat in the hands of the homeowner. You can buy a decent one for 40 grand, or you could pay 100 grand easily, for a tiny home, if it's done right. But also there's enough property there that could some, pretty good, affordable housing options could be approached.
I think those lots, I would be more inclined to consider those lots, not the
Okay.
entirety.
Great.
Personally.
Those the 3 little lots is what you
Right.
mean, yeah.
That's not gonna create a lot of, although that guy that was looking
Yeah.
at.
16, 20 units or something.
12 units, I think, but yeah, it was 12 units of affordable housing there on Undyne, the 3 lots. that are-
It's the one with the parking underneath.
Yeah,
That would be interesting. I mean, the other thing with affordable housing is, once again, this mixed use situation where we talked about everywhere downtown, the triangle lot, all of that stuff.
I think just one of my dreams would be, just as a person, to have some kind of hiker hostel there right across from the trailhead for PCT, because everyone goes through that, and man, it would be really cool to have like a landing place for them to like.
Like a campground. It's right there.
Hiker hostel, like with facilities and
Yeah.
like
Showers.
lodging.
Yeah.
And beds, because they need a break from sleeping on their little air mattresses.
Right.
I'll chime in real quick on this. So those 3 individual lots, I'm in favor of doing a land swap on those, or selling them or liquidating if we can't do a land swap to get some of the properties downtown. As it relates to that larger parcel, I think if we can come up with a partnership with a developer who wants to build affordable housing, let them at it. I think that's in line, but I don't think we want to be involved in building anything. I think it's just being the facilitator to have these parcels be turned into residential housing.
Thank you, commissioners, for the discussion, for all this feedback. I really appreciate it. This is super helpful for the work that we're gonna be doing here. Let's go to the last slide here, Genevieve. So we are, like I said, wrapping up that first phase, looking at all these different properties, and working on that market assessment to see what's potential, the development potential is for each of these sites. Again, this feedback is just so helpful for that as we're in the middle of it. And then the final output here is this investment plan where we'll be working very closely with staff to figure out which, after the priority campground, where the other priorities fall and how we might sequence that together and what kind of mechanisms or incentives you might want to consider to put in place to get that all to move. So thank you for your time this evening. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thanks, Matt. Drive safe now.
Hoping there's a place where I can still get a bite.
Yeah.
Whiskey flats. Oh, yeah, or whiskey flats.
That's right,
it is.
All righty, comments and subcommittee reports.
I've got a quick thing. We got one more on there for me. I'll be real quick with it.
Oh, campground feasibility, project update and workshop scheduling, I'm sorry.
So we have the market analysis and the feasibility study both running concurrently. We need to look at some initial design and doing some basically bubble diagrams where we're moving sort of pieces around on the piece of property to kind of come up with a general understanding of like how many spaces we're going to have. You guys said tonight, well, there needs to be a row of trees here. Well, you can put that row of trees there, you're going to lose these spaces. All things that have to happen, but things that we kind of need to know in order to have a general sense of how many spaces are going to be in this campground, because that's going to feed some of the market analysis and the feasibility study. So we're getting to a little bit to sort of the fun piece of this. They'll also get to discuss some of the amenities you'd like to see, because wherever there's amenity, there's not a space. So that's some of the discussions that'll be led in this. I'd like to keep our foot on the gas and schedule a work session for us to do that in. So it would be ideal if it was end of the month or sometime in the beginning of October. So really, this conversation we're having is what day works for folks. It would be great if people are able to be here, only because a lot of these consultants that we're currently working with are going to be consultants that were at least from the Naughty Group and Darren Ekman. These are consultants that we're going to be continuing to work with throughout the project. So for you guys to have an opportunity to create a relationship with us, we're already starting to work towards having them be an extension of staff, right? Which is usually how we get the most out of our consultants, is to kind of make them feel like, hey, you're part of staff. Ideally, you guys are here. It's got to be over Zoom. I get it. We're doing it sort of last minute here, but it is with the intent to keep our foot on the gas.
I'm at the will of the commission, so I'm flexible.
Does it have to be a
that's
specific
why I'm
day of the
tired.
week?
So I would say it doesn't need, we'll shy away. Can you pull up a calendar? We'll shy away. I usually have Carrie Ann there to whip them up. So first and third. Mondays is city, right? First and third. So first and third Mondays wouldn't work here. Because this room's being used. Okay.
First or third.
Next Tuesday would work for me as well.
Okay.
First Tuesday.
I can't do I can't
This-
do the next 2 Tuesdays, unfortunately.
7th of October,
I can do 7th.
Okay, so.
that is a Tuesday.
Okay.
That could give us, that might help with the scheduling on the other end of this. I mean, they said they were open and would do what they needed to do, but these folks are coming from out of town, so.
What about
Excited for you, Ted?
What about the 14th?
When is the next commission meeting?
21st.
Okay. So
The 14th won't work because we have the Pacific Northwest Annual Convention,
thank you.
PNWA annual.
Yes.
Yeah, that was part of why we were trying to get my calendar up too.
Does it have to be on a Tuesday?
Am I going to
It's
that?
the 14th to the 16th.
Carrie Ann would know that.
So you said October 7th?
Sounds like Ted, that might not work for him.
I'm in the Carolina.
I can push this to the next regularly scheduled commission meeting. It's just,
Probably do it's just gonna be a tight squeeze, but I could probably do September 30th, Tuesday. I have a customer in town and I'm gonna be in Boardman, so trying to get home from Boardman in time.
Sounds like Zoom would be fine now.
would be fine. We could also,
I could do Zoom in the car until I'm here if I get caught.
and with a work session, we could limit it to an hour. We could start a little later. We could start at 6:30 and put a hard 1 hour cap on it, which I think is generally what we have expected for that work session.
5 hour cap too. I need to read him to ask my question.
It'd be difficult with visualizing stuff.
They're gonna have visuals.
September 30th, does that work for you?
That works fine.
I can make it work. I'll be like you, Carrie, coming.
Okay. It's good.
Do we have Ann back by then? Just curious.
Yes, she's back on the 29th.
Kind of got cut off there.
Do you mind saying that again? You said you got cut off, but.
I can make Tuesday the 30th work. I'll just be coming in late like Carrie. So I not coming in late, but I think I can be there by 6. It'll just be a busy day.
I will reach out to them first thing tomorrow to make sure that that works for them, and then I'll shoot an email out or text out to everybody, letting them know that we're locking that date in.
Get a 6:30 start time too, right?
Yeah, we could potentially do a 6:30 start time.
Could probably be a little better, just so I don't come in hangry either.
And with a speeding ticket.
Right.
7, 8,
I mean,
everybody.
I just don't know exactly when
And we could do food.
that customer
Yeah,
visit
food.
is solely dependent on
So we want to do the 30th.
airspace availability
Have
and
dinner ready for it, Chris.
the whims of the US government on that, so.
So we want to do the 30th, 6:30? That work for everybody, as far as we know?
At 6:30, September 30th, that's it. Okay,
I mean, worst case scenario, I'll join by Zoom
while you're zooming.
while I'm zooming and playing with
You mean
airplanes.
going with speed limits?
While she's zooming,
I might still be out playing with airplanes, I don't know.
80s and 60.
All right. Commission comments and the subcommittee reports. Madam.
We've got, for subcommittee, the museum, we have the casino night. So we've recently partnered with the Cascade Locks Elementary PTO. And we have collaborated to do their casino night on our Stern Wheeler night. So we're gonna have a big casino cruise. So I hope you all are able to make it. It's the biggest fundraiser we both have for the year. Hoping to get, if you guys know of any sponsors last minute that we can pull in, still looking for some big sponsors to help support this event. So send ideas our way. I can send you the link to where sponsors can sign up.
So you have already.
Not off the top of my head at this time.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We got a couple more today.
Oh, great.
Awesome.
I've been pushing for ACL to be one of them, so I think I would be a good fit.
Buddies is gonna be a sponsor, and then Back to the Gorge is also gonna be a sponsor. I got that today. I sent it to Michaela, so she has that.
As well as Moraine Studios.
Yeah.
Very good.
Awesome.
And then there was a couple of others that I was supposed to reach out to that already said that they would be a sponsor as well.
Great. Yep, and I got, Edward Jones to be one of the sponsors, and they haven't officially signed up yet, but I'll get him there.
Contact at Edward Jones.
It might be useful. I know that the Alumni Association just sent us a letter about all the sponsors that they had for their particular fundraiser.
Mhm.
It might be useful just to see that and kind of also talk to those people as well,
Yeah.
because they're obviously involved with the community.
Right. Well, and we're also accepting any donations for prizes. We've got some good prizes to give away. So for like the people who are the biggest winners, we've got Skamania Lodge, who has donated a night, and we've got beautiful artwork that will be going from Bonnie White Watercolor, and my good friend Jesse's photography gave us another huge metal print. So lots of good stuff going. And then we've got another Bridge of the Gods meeting coming up, I think.
I have a list of things from,
It
yeah,
is this Thursday.
I need to connect with you on that sometime before that meeting.
Yeah, we've got lots going on with the Bridge of Gods committee, along. I think one of the things we're gonna have to look at is a port together. We need to bring in the insurance company to talk about the bungee jumping and then get the bungee guys in here to talk about the bungee jumping, and then we have to make sure that we're all on the same page if we agree to allow the bungee jumping. So, that's everything I have.
Awesome. All right, we'll hop over to Ted. Do you have anything up there?
Let's see, we have the Take a Kid Mountain Biking Day. That's coming back to Cascade Locks. I made an announcement on the last meeting on that, and I've been posting it. That's already looks like it's going to be a huge event. I mean, we've got tons of people coming from all over the place. And what's really exciting is that we have a lot of local folks that are bringing their kids out and signing up, which is great. And that's really one of the main focuses I have is getting kids on bikes. So anyhow, it's going to be pretty big, and it's being hosted by Northwest Trail Alliance. We also have a work project scheduled. I think it's October 8th, and we're going to be doing the final touches of the skills area. We've also hired a contractor to build the final skill features, the wood features down at the bottom. Where the boulders are, we're going to be building those skill features. That's also coming, I believe, at the end of this month. So a lot of good things. That's all going to be wrapped up. Put a bow on it, and already have people riding it, which is great. A lot of excitement around it. So thanks for the port's support of Northwest Trail Alliance, and a lot of good stuff still on the horizon.
All righty. All right. Buddy, that was too fast.
I was, yeah, thanks. I am now part of the Energy Council for Hood River. We had our very first, my very first meeting, just a couple weeks ago. It was pretty cool to see the things that Cascade Locks is on the Energy Council's radar for. There's actually two different projects that they're currently working on. One is actually with the fire department, and the second one is getting a solar microgrid feasibility study for the elementary school. And so part of that was great because it actually complements in a very specific and direct way to the work that we've done with the school as well as far as the generator is concerned. So there was actually a comment during the meeting where we were going through all of the projects that are currently on Energy Council's list, and two of the six were Cascade Locks, and someone specifically said, "Whoa, what's happening down there? You guys are actually making a lot of movement." So it's really great to see that happening with our community, and it's really great to hear other people starting to acknowledge that a lot of the positive momentum that we have here. So that's really great. As far as the Energy Council is concerned, I, as a member of the PTO, also sent through a letter of recommendation to help them with supporting that microgrid grant for the elementary school. So that was sent along over to them as well. So that was kind of when PTO/port meshed together. So it's kind of cool to see that.
People noticing it's not the same old Cascade Locks.
Exactly, and that was kind of the tone person said it with, which was pretty cool. Also another place where the PTO and the port kind of mixed together is also with your casino night, because the Stern Wheeler and whatnot. That's gonna be super duper fun, super great. For casino nights, I typically try not to say anything about buddies here, because it's my own personal business and I don't want to blend the lines. But I do think that we have a fundraiser that I think is pretty important to a lot of people in the community. We have a fundraiser on September 27th to support the Hood River Latino Network. And that particular Hood River Latino Network is for the entire county. It's not just for Hood River. So we're going to be holding a fundraiser for them on the 27th.
At Buddies.
Yeah, Buddies. We do have a bunch of baskets that were donated as raffle. So if there's anything that isn't like given out, or if there's too many for us, we'll definitely give them for casino night. So there's potential for more there.
Very cool.
But yeah, that one, it feels pretty important to a lot of people, so I just wanted to mention it here. Like I said, I try not to blend the two, the professional and personal business, but I thought that was important. Other than that, I can't believe none of you mentioned it, but thanks to everyone that worked so hard on the port staff and all of that. So this was today was interesting talking with Matt and Eco Northwest. I think it was a good, we've talked about this a lot and these particular things, but I think this is a good starting point to continue discussions. I don't think that, obviously you guys heard some things from us, but I don't necessarily know if it's just like final, right? Like some of it's like, hey, this would be cool, but so I'm looking forward to continuing those conversations with whatever we do with any of these spaces. And to that, I don't necessarily think we have to do something with every single one of the spaces either. There's opportunity to let some of these spaces be the problem of future ports. Future ports.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna die on this. So, hopefully not soon, but never can tell. But no, I love the fact that we seem overall, at least strategically, we seem to be on the same wavelength, if not on the same exact page.
Right.
I think we're all at least all pointed in the same direction, and not like herding cats as previously might have happened. But anyway, yeah, I have nothing. Life is good. Mission's great, and I'm very encouraged the fact that just Cascade Locks in general is being very well received, and apparently is no longer the redheaded stepchild of the county. But,
Yeah, I didn't say that.
We got embraced.
hopefully shed that attitude a little bit to some degree. But
I like my red hair.
life is good. And now it is executive director report.
We'll zip through this pretty quick. Events, 4 weddings, did cross channel swim since last time we spoke. Also the alumni scholarship banquet, which was well attended. Lots of venue tours, booked 5 new bookings. A few things I pulled off here. She said she's already lighting up for, because she books about 2 years out. And so we've just come out of this 2-year cycle. And so she's starting to hit sort of those next 2 years out on the weddings. Also the procurement of a new golf cart. It's been on the wish list for a while. I don't know if it made it to the commission before now, but the golf cart that we had previously was one that we were on loan from Jetty Light. They had intended at one point in time, I think, to start a rental business that never really took off the ground. So we had the benefit of getting to use that. Well, it was stolen from the port not too long ago. It was recovered the next day, and we got it back. We fixed it. We've returned it back to Jetty Light, but probably made sense to get one on our own insurance and move forward. So her and Parker worked on locating one. It got delivered today. It looks great. She's super excited. So
Is it
well done on
that? If it was found in Parker's driveway.
all right.
Come on.
And miraculously, you also got a storm cover for it as well, didn't you? Like for
$8.
$8. So I heard about a new auction site, and Jeremiah shared that with Janetta, and Janetta found a brand new storm cover for that exact model of vehicle.
Ever with those auction sites, Brad? You go down a rabbit hole.
I personally have never been on it because my son, I told him about it and he picked up.
Okay, good.
He has enough.
Next thing you know, you're gonna have 14 tiny homes in your yard.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. Like, yeah, but
Brad by himself solved the tiny home problem.
72-inch TV for $350. But anyway, yeah.
Sorry, we diverted.
No, you're good.
Sorry.
But Janetta's apparently been down there a couple different times. to pick up things that,
She has.
but, and getting things dirt cheap.
I got Jossie a rug off of there for
Did you get that,
I
end up
did.
with that rug?
Did.
8x10 area rug for
30 bucks.
$33.
Mhm.
So, anyway, yeah. that's
Get us to the operations park.
Yes, I will. I'll just touch the big ones here. You guys see the list there. Emergency repair for the irrigation pump motor that services our entire marine park. It was 18 and a half years old. All phases of the motor blew out. We were able to source a new motor and company to put it in. It took a week. And it was before the grass died. I don't think anybody noticed. It was super proud of my team for making that function and work. It was during a hot time of the year and it was great. Glad we got that taken care of. We're kind of in the recovery timeframe in operations where we're getting all the things done that we didn't have time to get done in the summertime. You'll see that throughout the park, and you'll see and hear us around our commercial buildings, taking care of HVAC work and different things like that. Joanne helped me with completing our seaworthy checks for our marina tenants. And so all marina tenants have now completed a seaworthy check. They've been in and out of the marina. We know their boats function and operate as they should. Big thank you to Joanne for getting that done. That's in an effort of ours to make the marina more active and just much more user friendly. And I think that's the big ones. Just say thank you to my team for getting through the summer. Everybody did just an awesome job. It was as smooth as I could have ever planned or asked for.
Really, just really.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's great.
Yeah,
Okay.
just up on third.
Just real quick, it's grant season. And so we're working through, sort of playing which grants make sense to pursue and which grants we maybe would be eligible for, but the grant would only slow us down type thing. So there's a lot of sort of strategizing and attending a lot of different training webinars on different grant funds that maybe the rules have changed and the criteria have changed. Maybe a grant that was prior federally funded no longer is, and so there's there's a lot going on in the grant landscape. So we'll report more of that coming up. There is a new opportunity through, because our county emergency management was able to complete the natural hazard mitigation plan adoption. That's been adopted. And so there is some funding available now for those projects that we identified on our natural hazards list. So that's a new target that we haven't gone after before that we're looking at. And then also, of course, the targets that we have been successful with local government grant program and recreational trails program is sort of coordinating with our very successful project partners that we've worked with before on maybe preparing an application for this round. Those deadlines are coming up really fast and they're pretty heavy work grant applications. So it's sort of head down time for us. Our economic development grant program, round 2, has launched. It is open. The online application is ready to receive applications. I have heard from numerous individuals that they're preparing applications. They're asking really good questions and getting ready to go. Once again, for the good of the order, we have a Halloween deadline for your grant applications. October 31st is the deadline to get your applications in. And so we're really excited about round 2 and hoping to see some really good projects come in. I think that's it from me, other than what we've got. Oh, just to let you know, we're getting into the final phase of approval for our most recent local government grant program application, which is to fund the installation of a new public restroom to serve the eastern part of the marine park. And so we're going through a few of the final questions before we can count on that money and move forward with that project, hopefully in spring.
And a lot of that'll be for the marine, marina.
Events. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So they essentially to replace the public restrooms in the Stern Wheeler building that aren't public anymore because it's private restrooms.
Through these here.
No,
We can do that too. We'll just do a quick through here. So my regular,
You already did.
no, my regular, weekly meetings, met with Ton, with Genevieve to talk more, about, the Cascade Inn and, the work we're doing there with the Brownfield grants. I completed my SDAO HR vector training. Yes, I did. Also, I want to give a shout out to, Parker, who is taking on 8 hours of supervisor training through SDO. So one of the things we have is, it's actually through HR Answers.
Wait a minute, it's 3.5 hours.
Oh, 8 weeks, 3.5 hours.
That's a week, 3.
So, as part of our commitment here, ongoing professional training ranks pretty high, for retaining staff and as well as, improving the staff that we have. So I appreciate him taking that on. It's not like you had tons of room to do it, so I'm not sure how you're working it in, but you are, and that's awesome.
Either way, so the rainy season.
Almost. Almost.
Opportunity arose and it seemed like a good course.
Anything worth mentioning about the meeting with Cascade Inn?
Do you want to?
Yeah, it's so the McKed Brownfield program is funding all of this. There's no money exchanging hands. It's literally McKed is paying a consultant, which is Stantec, to complete the phase 1 and the phase 2 environmental for the ultimate goal of demolishing the Cascade Inn and replacing it with new construction. And so they've completed phase 1, phase 2, with really good results. And right now they're putting together the demolition budget for Ton. And they are writing up a draft RFP that she can issue as a private party to solicit quotes for that. So really good, wonderful support from McKenna and Tom's really excited about it and really grateful for the help. It's really accelerated her vision for the property, and so we're really excited about it.
And shout out to Jen on that.
Party when they do the demolition.
Right.
Right.
And a shout out to Jen on that. Ton came in a little, trepidatious, just with some of her experiences here in town. You know, there's a lot of folks that have said, you know, that thing just sits there and it doesn't do anything. And she felt a little bit sort of run down by that. Ton is a really active community member in our town and provides a lot of money to the children in this town. And we have to get $10,000 for the scholarship fund. I know that she's helped out with the, art supplies. So
$1,000 for the art supplies.
her heart is there, and she's had a couple bad experiences. And so as many times as I tried to connect with Ton, we really started making some big strides when Jen got involved. And so that was good. And that's been great to see her be able to lead that relationship because we just weren't quite connecting. So that's been excellent. So thank you for your work on that. The individual commissioner discussions made it on my list. I was able to meet with all of you before between these two meetings, except for Travis, but he's still sucking from a garden hose, so I don't expect him to call me anytime soon yet. Did a Sternwheeler inspection with Steve Caputo and Mark Troutman. That was something that we have in our contract that we're allowed to enter the boat pretty much anytime we want, but every now and then to hop on and just sort of do an inspection. We gave him a couple days heads up on it. It'd just taken a long trip to Astoria, and so was interested to see what sort of condition it was in when it got back, what sort of issues they potentially ran into on that long of a trip. Mark Troutman came down and walked through all of the systems. The Sternwheeler continues to be a big boat that makes big impact in Cascade Locks. It also comes with some big price tags. So we're looking at some of the systems that boat currently has on it that may need to be replaced in the near future, some in the more distant future, and some that are nice to haves versus must haves. And so we're working through that with Jetty Light. Met with Jordan Bennett, which I've been doing on a monthly basis. The conditional use permit for the canoe club was for 3 years, and it expired, which was kind of unique that it was 3 years and not just on. Yeah, I'm not sure how that happened, but it expired. We were reached out to by the canoe club to see if we could be helpful in getting that reinstated. My conversation with Jordan sounded like it was going to be more of a difficult endeavor than we expected. It really is something that Canoe Club would need to do themselves, but they've asked us, you know, can we make it? Go ahead.
It's been 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. Yep.
Doesn't seem that long.
3 years.
So to make a conditional use
It
permit.
seemed like it.
He's the city admin.
For 3 years, and they moved in when I was
Yeah.
They've been there 3 years.
To put a
I have
time limit on it,
that
maybe slow
experience.
started 3 years ago.
Were we, they at least got a conditional use? It's 3 years. I'm going on it's
The
3 years.
previous port voted that one in.
Yeah, they did. The previous part voted that one in.
Hope it doesn't become divisive, because the heart of a conditional use permit is supposed to be mitigating impacts.
What
And
we're,
essentially, there are no,
what I'm really hoping here to do, and I talked to Jordan about it, I said, what I really like to do is just go straight to the planning committee on this one, or the city itself, and say, hey, listen, guys, it isn't about the money, like with $3,000. It's about the fact that it's $3,000 that doesn't even go to the city. It goes to some consultant in Portland who's going to tell us, yeah, go ahead and do it. Right. So it's this big, long, drawn out process that doesn't even benefit. I mean, we're 1,500 people. We can decide whether or not that can stay what it is. So I'm hoping that they'll allow for that. But in case you hear about it, did worked on that bubble diagram, some of the stuff that you guys saw. We started to sort of go down that path as staff. Some of the stuff you're going to see at that work session. We started to go down that path a little bit as staff, and it really seemed like a spot. It was like, we got to pump the brakes on this, pause this, get the commission involved. This is really going to be the opportunity where they're going to have their thumbprints on what the vision of this campground is, what the amenities are, where the trees are, how many spaces there are, where the turnarounds are, where the entrance is. So a lot of that visioning and fun stuff that staff was just starting to dip our toe into, and I was like, we need to pump the brakes on this. A couple handouts here for you, just some things that I'm sort of working on, nothing that I need an action item on. We got a letter from James Bright, who is the president of the Main Street organization. Rail Fan reached out to him, which is a webcam that shows on their website, in which train enthusiasts can click on it and watch trains all across America. They have reached out and asked if they could have one on port property. I generally don't have an issue with that. I'm going to take a look and make sure that I don't have any homeland security issues with a private webcam being at a port facility. Maybe you can look down in the industrial park. I'm sure there's a spot that's out of the way that we can get a webcam. They've said they'd take the lead on this, and we could be pretty hands off as long as we gave our thumbs up on it. So no action on that yet, or maybe at all. It might be just something that we move through, but we'll have to see what the impacts are. Also on the 21st of September is National Peace Day. In conjunction with Rotary, we're installing a peace pole up at the Toll House Park. It was designed, it has the exact wordage. It's world peace, but it's embrace peace, I think, or something to that effect. In 8 different languages. Those were selected and picked out by the 3rd grade elementary kids. So some of those will be showing up today. They're going to go up there and dig the hole. Parker's already kind of scoped it out. They'll do that on Saturday. They'll put a sheet over it and put a bow on it. And on the 21st at 1:30, they'll go in and unveil it. If any of the commissioners are available to make it for that, there'll definitely be pictures of it. And we'd love to have the local officials standing around that. I've also joined the Outdoor Hospitality and Industry Business Association. We belong to a number of business associations throughout the years. One of which was Passenger Vessel Association. We were actually owned and operated the sternwheeler. I'm sort of living in a campground world at the moment, sucking as much of that in as I can. When it was 16 spaces, we kind of were like, we can figure this out. As we move into operating something the size of I don't want to be on the record with number of spaces yet until you guys decide, but more, thank you. Of substantial size, I'm starting to sort of go down this path of the standard operating procedures that we're going to need, the types of amenities that we're going to want. Of those amenities, the kind of people, the kind of vendors that provide those, what other campgrounds in America are finding are working for them for retaining people that are staying over at a campground. All of a sudden, this becomes a much bigger, viable piece of revenue generating facility for us than just that little campground there. And so as I dig into this, I'm starting to see that professional association, especially as I sort of work through how this department will function and who will actually operate this department. Is this a piece of operations? Do I have somebody that oversees just the campgrounds? So starting to work through some of that, and they have a number of different resources that are available to me. And ultimately, I think whoever running that department will be able to take use of those resources. They have a conference that's coming up in November. I'd like to attend that. I'm still going to take a look and see if it's something I am going to attend. Which is why we're talking about it. It is notably most often go to ones located in the Pacific Northwest. This one is located in Kentucky. Because it's the National Association, we're going to CMB farther out like that. We also have taken trips to DC before, so it's right. So not something that I've committed to yet, but did want to show you what the agenda was of that and sort of the world that I'm living in now as I research campgrounds, wrap my brain around exactly how we can benefit the most from this. So again, not anything I need an action item on, but wanted to give you a heads up on things I'm working on. I think we still have a single action item to get through, Jen.
So this is kind of a formality as part of our economic development program. When a project is complete, both the small and the large grant program requires that the applicant submit a final report. For the small grants, it's pretty one-page short thing. They don't need to come in and do a presentation. For the grants that are over $50,000 or up to over 10,000, up to 50,000, those folks will come in and present to you. This is a report for a small grant for landmass lines. And if you accept their report, then they are then eligible to reapply in the future. And so this is their report.
Did you submit any photos?
She's got some, she wants to have them staged so it looks nice. They put the furniture out, they took it back, it had an event, put it back in. And so they will send us photos, but they don't have it report. Yeah.
Where they, if they hold them back in, is it where they store it?
Good question. I was.
Cause that place is pretty dead.
And I didn't see it.
Oh, they are also a tenant in our Flex One building, so they're probably over there.
That's what it is.
They're over
Yep.
with. Yeah,
Bike the Gorge.
Bike the Gorge,
Yeah.
but even that space is like.
I haven't been in there
They're
yet.
using-
Is it pretty tight?
Neat.
I mean, they've grown.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're substantial equipment.
I'm sort of stacked up on the wall somewhere.
Yeah. They have good access to a door there.
Did we get?
Yeah, they do.
That's right there to that
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
Did Ted do his?
I don't think so.
Did Ted do his report?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Give a second.
That's right.
is that it?
That's it.
We did it. Okay.
Do we need a motion?
We need a motion to accept it. So
I will make a motion to approve the final grant report of landmass wine.
I'll second.
Motion second to approve, a final grants report for landmass whites. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. We're adjourned.
Okay, thanks, everybody, ready?
Thank you.
And we'll-